Welcome to Nevermoor. The mist cleared, revealing an enormous stone archway with silvery gates that shimmered like heat from a stovetop. Nevermoor. Morrigan rolled the word around in her mind. She'd seen it only once before in her bid letter from the Wondrous Society. It had meant nothing to her at the time, just a nonsense word. Nevermoor, she whispered to herself. She liked the way it sounded, like a secret, a word that somehow belonged only to her. Jupiter put Octavia into gear as he read from a screen displaying notices. Local time 6:13 a.m. on the first day of morning tide, spring of one, third age of the aristocrats. Weather, chilly but clear skies. Overall city mood, optimistic, sleepy, slightly drunk. The gates groaned open and the arachnopod shuddered into life. Morrigan breathed deeply as they entered the city. Having never been outside the town of Jackalfax, she was unprepared for what lay beyond the gates. In Jackalfax, everything had been neat and orderly and normal. Homes sat side by side in uniform rows, identical brick houses on straight, clean streets, one after the other. After the first neighbourhood in Jackalfax had been built 150 years earlier, subsequent boroughs were all built in, if not precisely the same style, similar enough that if one were looking at Jackalfax from above, one might guess the entire town was designed by a sole miserable architect who hated her life. Nevermoor was no Jackalfax. "We're in the south," said Jupiter, pointing at a map of Nevermoor on the screen of his control panel. The arachnopod scuttled low through the darkened, mostly quiet streets, dodging the odd pedestrian here and there. Evidence of the night's eventide celebrations was strewn about the darkened streets. Balloons and streamers littered front yards and lampposts, and early morning street sweepers collected discarded bottles in huge metal bins. Some people were still out celebrating in the bluish pre-dawn light, including a group of young men crooning the poignant morning-tide refrain as they stumbled out of a pub. Octavia sped through cobbled lanes, narrow alleys, and sweeping boulevards, some neat and old-fashioned, and others flamboyantly hectic. They floated through a borough called Ogden-on-Giro that looked like it was sinking. The streets there were made of water, and people rowed little boats through swirling mists that rose around them. Everywhere Morrigan looked, there were rolling green parks and tiny church gardens, cemeteries and courtyards and fountains and statues, illuminated by warm yellow gaslights and the occasional rogue firework. She was up, out of her seat, moving from window to window, pressing her face to the glass as she tried to take it all in. She wished she had a camera. She wished she could jump out of the arachnopod and run through the streets.